Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly for pricing, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Today, we're discussing the 42mm stainless steel Hanhart Pioneer MonoControl Pilot's chronograph, dedicated to the first monopusher chrono built by Hanhart in 1938. The watch is of modern size, fit, finish, and specification, but as you can see, evocative in its form. At 42 millimeters, it's a full-sized watch, but not quite oversized. It's 14.7 millimeters thick, and from lug to lug, 50.5 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. On my wrist, 16 centimeters in circumference. It's broad but wearable. It's not excessively broad across the wrist, however. I would say if your wrist is 15 centimeters circumference or larger, you're going to wear the watch well. My wrist's 16 centimeters, wears it comfortably, and I think with a handsome proportion. Big is the look, but not huge, as you can see. It's thin enough that it'll fit underneath a jacket cuff, but not the tightest of dress sleeves. You can see it from overhead right there, and then one more down the barrel shot. Taking a quick look at the strap, it's handsome and it's substantial. You can see it's got that symbolic rivet driven into it. It's actually bound by its contrasting stitching, but it's a lovely and nostalgic look with a matte black finish, calfskin, the contrasting stitch, the rivet. It's sheer cut and multi-layered, and you can really see the layers of construction. Of course, calfskin on the underside as well, and this is a brand new Hanhart factory strap. The timepiece includes a Hanhart stainless steel pin buckle, and you can see it's a combination of polish and satinated facets. Rolling over to the case. Handsome, minimalist case, satin finished lug hoods with a sort of concentric graining as though they were turned circular from the top. And then we have the case band, which is longitudinally satin finished, and then there's a step underneath the bezel that's polished for a little bit of contrast. The crown, as you can see, is oversized and vintage evocative. It is a push-down crown, but the watch is 100 meters water resistant. Then we have a rubber-capped mono pusher crown, and that mono pusher activates the start, stop, and reset of the watch. Of course, because it is one pusher. Once you stop it, you're committed to the reset. But it's fun and, again, evocative of early aviation chronos. The bezel has a lovely coined profile, which is both vintage-inspired and a pleasure to operate. The bezel really glides as though it's mounted on Teflon. It's an absolute pleasure. And while its red index means the minimal calibration equates to estimates rather than precise timing, nevertheless, you can use the bezel to estimate elapsed time using the minute hand, even as the chronograph register keeps track of a separate or concurrent 30-minute event. Now, the dial, of course, is black and mostly matted, but you can see there are a couple of details that I really appreciate. Outboard, we have white on black printing for the seconds and fractions of seconds, as well as the minutes if you want to read them individually. That's raised above an hour track, which, if you look very carefully, has a stamped concentric pattern that runs around the dial circumferentially. And then inboard, you have that matte center that is mostly a sort of black opaline, which is a black matte, but it's not that textured concentric pattern of the hour track. If you take a quick look too, you can see that the watch uses classical 1930s cathedral hands, heavily segmented like the stained glass windows of a cathedral. There are twin registers. One is constant seconds, a nicely balanced, vintage-inspired dial, but a concession to modernity in the date down at 6 o'clock. Now, the watch uses a Valjoux 7750 with a modification module by La Joux, which is a Swiss complication specialist. So, the movement is Swiss, the watch is made in Germany. And again, the watch is 100 meters water resistant, unidirectional, automatic winding with a 42-hour power reserve. It has both hacking or stop seconds and a quick set function, so you can rapidly cycle the date. It beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour and pivots on a remarkable bearing system. So if you've ever seen the Valjoux 7750, you know that the rotor pivots on a bearing, making it tougher than, say, a jeweled staff. And ultimately, it is a cam and lateral clutch chronograph, which means the quality of the tuning here is what distinguishes this watch rather than the mechanism. A well-tuned cam can be as sharp as a column wheel, and that is exactly what we have right here. It is a very sharp feeling coulisse or cam-based system with a lateral clutch. And the watch is handsome, Versatile, at 100 meters, far more swimmable than your average pilot's watch. Reach out to tmosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And we're back with the abundantly loomed Hanhart Pioneer MonoControl.